Welcome to the Psychic Pinup Podcast, the anything and everything spiritual podcast where we dive into hot topics, readings, viewer questions, and more. Thank you for tuning in. Now, sit back, relax, and let's dive right into it.
Hi everyone, and welcome back to the Anything and Everything Spiritual Podcast. I'm your host, Linda, also known as the Psychic Pinup. I am a psychic and I am a medium. Today, I would love to dive into a topic that has been sitting on my mind for a while. And I mean a while, probably a good 12 to 18 months. And if you're part of the psychic or spiritual community, you've probably noticed it also. What I would like to talk today about is psychic expos, spiritual fairs, body-mind spiritual events. They are everywhere. And I mean everywhere. You can pretty much guarantee that within an hour's drive from where you live, or at least I know here where I live in Wollongong, New South Wales, in the Illawarra. On any given weekend, there's one happening somewhere. So today, I want to have an honest, heart-to-heart chat about whether the market has become too flooded. How much is too much? Has it lost its magic? Is it starting to feel like a bit of a gimmick? And what does that mean for the spiritual industry moving forward? Lots of things to unpack here. So let's be real. For me personally, so I can't speak for everybody, but I can pretty much guarantee I am speaking for a lot of people listening to this podcast. Psychic and spiritual expos used to be something special. Well, they used to be for me. They were a highlight in my calendar. I'd mark down the date. I'd book my ticket and look forward to connecting with like-minded souls, exploring healing modalities, or maybe even having that one incredible reading. But lately, it just feels like these fairs and expos are popping up everywhere. I can speak from living here in the Illawarra area and surrounds. There are little catchment areas a bit further down the south coast and a little bit further west into the Southern Highlands, and maybe even a little bit further north up into the Sydney area. It's become a weekly event. It's just not an occasional experience anymore. While at first that might sound amazing, like for more opportunities for connection, more access to readers and healers, what I've noticed is the energy of these places have changed. So there's this feeling that the market's become oversaturated. You know, it's like when something rare and beautiful becomes too accessible. It loses its shine. Nobody really gets excited about the shiny things anymore because you can access it or obtain it from anywhere. Like, I remember when expos were full of excitement. Well, they were for me. They were full of excitement and passion and authenticity. And people came into these places for the experience. Now, I sometimes feel like it's become more about quantity than the quality. More about tables being filled than energy being shared. And let's be honest, some of these expos are starting to feel like copy and paste versions of each other. The same layout, the same faces, the same $50, $60, $70, $80 reading signs hanging on every second table. Every second table being a reader. In fact, most of the expo being readers. Not much variety in terms of retail or other modalities, services. It starts to feel less spiritual and more transactional. Like, don't get me wrong, guys. There are still beautiful, genuine expos out there run with heart and purpose. But when every weekend has one within driving distance, it really starts to all blur together. That raises a big question. What's the true intention behind these fairs and expos now? Like, is it still about connection, growth and healing? Or has it turned into a bit of a production line? This isn't just about the expos themselves, in my opinion. I feel it actually affects everybody involved. For practitioners, it's becoming harder to stand out in a sea of sameness, if that makes sense. A sea of sameness. The energy gets spread too thin and audiences get scattered between too many events. I've been to a number of these expos since removing myself from them just as a visitor, and I could roll a bowling ball down an aisle and not hit anybody. It's really diluted the market. It has taken away from the practitioners who pay to be there. The attendees are not so excited about going to these places and visiting and sharing in the energy exchange. There's just so much noise out there now. So many people calling themselves psychic, healer, medium, coach. It can make it hard for them to know who's truly authentic, experienced and grounded in their work. So this becomes confusing to the attendees also. The spiritual space, it's supposed to be sacred. But when it becomes a revolving door of pop-up stalls and flashing lights and the bells and whistles and everything else that's mixed into the fold here, in my opinion, the sacredness gets diluted. Here's the thing that might sting a little. When there's too much of something, and it's not always delivered with integrity, it starts to look gimmicky to the outside world. Now, we've all seen these expos where it feels more like a carnival than a spiritual gathering. Flashy sales tactics, gimmicks, drama, and even competition between the stall holders. Oh, believe me, I have seen plenty of that going on. It's not the energy we're meant to be creating. That kind of environment actually turns people off spirituality. And it's actually turned me off, to be honest. So instead of opening hearts, it actually closes them. And to me, that's really heartbreaking. Because, and I'll say it, there are so many gifted, genuine practitioners out there who do incredible work, but they get lost in all this noise of these expos and these fairs. And I find that sad. Where do we go to from here? You know, maybe it's time to step back and return to the why. And I'll put this to the practitioners who are listening to this podcast. Why are we doing this work? Why are we showing up to expos in the first place? Is it to fill our calendars? Or is it to truly connect, teach, and heal? Again, personally, I feel there's space for fewer but better events. Ones that are curated with intention, where practitioners are chosen for their authenticity and not just their availability to rent a table. Where people come not just for the entertainment, but for transformation and connections. That's the kind of energy that raises the vibration in our industry, not another cookie cutter fair every weekend. I've had discussions with other readers about this. Their number one fear that I can take from the discussions that I've had with them is they feel they need to be at these expos to be seen and to build a clientele base. I understand that. I get that. I agree with that. I have been there also. But when we are having expos and fairs every single weekend, and it is that diluted that it is not bringing the public in, bringing the attendees in, so these readers cannot connect with them, how does that serve any good? For me personally, I've stepped back from doing expos for now. I always say to people, you never say never. So I won't say I will never do another expo. I've stepped back from them for now. They just don't align with where my energy is anymore. That doesn't mean I don't believe in them. So please don't think that you're going to be sending me hate mail and telling me that I am wrong. Look, I'm happy for you to send it to me. I will probably use it in an upcoming podcast. So by all means, feel free to send me some material here. I do believe in them. But I want to see them return to being something sacred and not saturated. For example, sorry, I'm going a little bit off tangent here. Down here in the Illawarra, there are probably a handful of venues big enough to hold these expos. I have chosen one venue in particular that is a 10-minute drive from my house. That venue held an expo in June. In August, by another company again, another expo was held in that same venue. Fast forward to October. Another company will be holding another expo in the same venue. So here we are, June, August, and October. One venue. 3 different people. Same expo. That is just one venue alone down here. There's also another well-known venue, another 10 minutes drive in the opposite direction to where I live. One expo was held there, I think off the top of my head, a couple of weeks ago, 2, maybe 3 weeks ago. So that was September. Fast forward again to October, which we are in, the end of this October. Another company going into that venue, another expo. So this is within 6 weeks of an expo being held in that venue. There will be another expo in that same venue. And funnily enough, that expo will be running in conjunction with the other expo that I was talking about in the other venue on the same weekend. So we have 2 venues with 2 psychic spiritual expos being run on the same day within a 15-minute drive of each other in the Illawarra alone. I sound like I'm on the high horse, don't I? Look, again, don't get me wrong, I love my expos. I love them, but I actually feel sorry for the stall holders. There is a lack of public, there is a lack of attendees going through these expos now. I know that there has been a huge decline in numbers. And I actually feel sorry for the stall holders with this. So where does the responsibility start, and where does the responsibility end, or who does the responsibility go to? Is it the stall holders saying, no, we're not doing those, as we are flooded and we're going to hold off? Or is it the people that are actually running these expos and thinking, well, we are flooding the market, and why don't we pull back and not do so many expos and not do them so often and make them a good expo? Is it a case of what comes first, the chicken or the egg? I don't know. I'm happy to hear your thoughts on that. So, if you're a fellow practitioner, I'd love you to reflect on this also. Where are you showing up? Do these expos and fairs still feel aligned with you? Are you doing it because it lights you up, or because it's what everybody else is doing? If you're a client or attendee or seeker, pay attention to how the energy feels at these events. Notice where you feel drawn. Follow that intuition. I'm always big on following the intuition. I say this because energy does not lie. And the right reader or healer will always find their way to you, no matter the setting. Trust your intuition. A lot to think about, isn't there? You know, there's once upon a time I had to be at every expo. I've got to do the expo. Have to be there. Got to do the readings. And now, after the BS that I went through 12 months ago, I'd say, now we're coming on to the 12-month anniversary. Anyway, no, I won't go down that road. That's another podcast. I'm just slowly piecing that one together. But now that I've made that conscious decision to remove myself from expos, I'm in a better place. The people who are meant to be having readings with me have no problems finding me whatsoever. In fact, I'm probably busier than what I was when I was doing the expos. It's actually freed up time for me to pursue other ideas and downloads that my team have given to me. So I do have a number of projects up my sleeve that I have been actively working on the last 6 months. To the practitioners listening, drop me a line. Let me know that you've heard this and what your thoughts are on this. I will be doing a follow-up episode on this. If you would like to participate or give me your views or opinions, I can promise you I will keep you anonymous. And if not, that's okay as well. So I'd like to thank you for tuning in today's episode of the Anything and Everything Spiritual podcast. Bit of a doozy. If this resonates with you, I'd love to hear your thoughts. Do you feel the expo scene has become too much? Have you noticed the same shift? You can connect with me over my socials or through my website, The Psychic Pinup. And as always, remember, stay authentic, stay grounded, and stay in your light. Until next time, take care and keep shining. Thank you. Bye.
You have been listening to Linda, the Psychic Pinup. Linda is a psychic medium based on the New South Wales south coast of Australia. You can connect with her via her website, thepsychicpinup.com.au, or join her on her weekly live feeds on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, all under the same name, The Psychic Pinup. Thanks for listening.